Africa's urban landscape is as diverse as it is complex, with bustling metropolises facing numerous challenges, including high crime rates and security concerns. Delving into the dynamics of these cities reveals underlying factors that contribute to their reputations as dangerous. Here, we explore the shades of urban violence and notable incidents in Africa's most dangerous cities. Cape Town, South Africa. In Cape Town, gangs are a big problem. They fight each other, and innocent people sometimes get hurt. One big gang area is Manenberg. Sometimes, there are shootings and people get scared. A big crime is car theft. People steal cars, and it's hard for the police to catch them. In 2018, there was a big fight between gangs in Manenberg. Many people were hurt, and it made the news. Johannesburg, South Africa. In Johannesburg, people are scared of robberies. Sometimes, people get robbed at gunpoint, which means someone threatens them with a gun to take their things. It happens in many places, even in busy areas. There was also a big problem with attacks on people from other countries, called xenophobic attacks. In 2008, there were big riots where people from other countries were hurt or had to leave because locals were angry with them. Durban, South Africa. Durban has problems with drugs. People sell drugs, and sometimes there are fights over who controls the drug business. This can lead to shootings and people getting hurt. Also, there's a big problem with corruption, which means some people in power do bad things for money. In 2019, there was a big protest against corruption in Durban. Many people came together to say they wanted things to change. Pretoria, South Africa. Pretoria has areas where there's a lot of poverty and crime. Sometimes, people protest because they're not happy with how things are. This can lead to violence. Also, there's a problem with robberies and break-ins, where people steal from homes. In 2020, there were big protests in Pretoria because people didn't have enough food and money during the COVID-19 lockdown. Port Elizabeth, South Africa. Port Elizabeth has a big problem with gangs. They fight each other, and sometimes innocent people get hurt. Another problem is car theft. People steal cars and sell them for money. In 2017, there was a big shooting in Port Elizabeth where many people were hurt. It was a scary time for the community. Nairobi, Kenya. In Nairobi, there are areas where there's a lot of poverty. Some people do bad things because they don't have money. There are also problems with terrorism, where people use violence to scare others. In 2013, there was an attack on a shopping mall in Nairobi where many people were killed. It was a sad day for the city. Mombasa, Kenya. Mombasa is a big port city, so there's a problem with drugs. People bring drugs into the country through the port. There are also fights between different groups, which can be dangerous. In 2014, there was a big attack on a bus in Mombasa where many people were hurt. It was a scary time for everyone. Lagos, Nigeria. Lagos is a big city with many people, so there's a problem with traffic and crime. Sometimes, people steal from others or hurt them to take their things. There's also a problem with kidnappings, where people are taken and held for money. In 2014, many schoolgirls were kidnapped from a town near Lagos. It made people very scared and sad. Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Port Harcourt has a problem with oil. Some people want to take the oil for themselves, so they fight with others. This can be dangerous for people who live there. In 2016, there was a big protest in Port Harcourt against the government because people weren't happy with how things were going. Kano, Nigeria. In Kano, there are problems with terrorism and violence. Some people use violence to scare others and get what they want. This can be very scary for people who live there. In 2014, there was a big bombing in Kano where many people were hurt. It was a sad day for the city. Abuja, Nigeria. Abuja is the capital of Nigeria, but it still has problems with crime. Sometimes, people use violence to scare others and get what they want. There's also a problem with corruption, where people in power do bad things for money. In 2015, there was a big bombing in Abuja where many people were hurt. It was a scary time for everyone. Luanda, Angola. Luanda has problems with poverty and crime. Some people don't have enough money to live, so they do bad things to survive. There's also a problem with corruption, where people in power do bad things for money. In 2017, there was a big protest in Luanda against the government because people weren't happy with how things were going. While crime rate indexes provide a quantitative measure of urban violence, it's essential to contextualize these statistics within the socio-economic and political realities of each city. Addressing the root causes of crime requires a multifaceted approach that encompasses poverty alleviation, community engagement, and effective law enforcement. By understanding the complexities of urban violence, stakeholders can work towards creating safer and more secure environments for residents across Africa's diverse urban landscape. Africa is currently grappling with an alarming surge in terrorism. Groups such as Daesh, Al-Qaeda, and their affiliates have exploited instability and conflict to escalate their activities across the continent. Over the past 2 years, some of the most violent Daesh affiliates have expanded their presence in countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and even southward into the Gulf of Guinea. The impact of their senseless violence has been devastating, resulting in loss of life, injuries, and broader suffering for affected communities. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, violent extremist and terrorist groups in West Africa have intensified their activities. High-profile attacks by groups affiliated with ISIS and Al-Qaeda have been recorded in countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger since January 2021. Central Nigeria continues to grapple with persistent religious and ethnic tensions. Armed groups have recently carried out a series of attacks, resulting in the deaths of more than 100 people in towns across the region. Misogyny lies at the core of many terrorist groups' ideology. Women and girls bear the brunt of insecurity and inequality. The globalization of terrorism means that addressing this challenge requires effective multilateral responses from the international community. In summary, Africa faces complex security challenges, and concerted efforts are needed to counter violence, protect vulnerable populations, and promote stability in these dangerous cities. Now if you like this video, then don't forget to like this video, share with your friends and subscribe to our channel for more informative videos.